Welcome to the deep dive. You shared some really interesting material from a professional workshop on health, safety, and environment HSE.
Hmm.
We're going to try and, unpack the core of what HSE is really all about and why it's, well, so vital in pretty much any workplace.
Exactly. Yeah, think of HSE as the science, basically, of keeping people safe and healthy while they're at work,
Okay.
preventing accidents, creating a positive environment uh, through rules, procedures, and also like clever engineering solutions.
Okay, so the workshop materials, they mentioned something, I found it fascinating. The Arabic root of safety. It emphasizes well-being and preventing danger.
Right.
That really puts the focus on being proactive, doesn't it? How does that sort of preventative mindset really shape how we approach HSE today?
Oh, it's fundamental, totally. Instead of just reacting, after something goes wrong,
Yeah,
the whole philosophy is really geared towards spotting potential hazards before they happen
right.
and stopping them. And this, it rests on understanding cause and effect, basically, and recognizing our own ability as humans to make changes.
Mm-hmm.
And crucially, the need for planning, because, safety improvements don't just happen on their own.
That makes a lot of sense. And it's interesting how occupational psychology fits in here. It's like not just about hard hats and safety goggles, is it?
No, not at all.
It's also about understanding the human side, things like, I don't know, fatigue or even boredom that could lead to accidents.
Absolutely. And, as our workplaces get more complex, more technologically advanced,
Yeah.
with all sorts of new risks popping up, this focus on like comprehensive safety, it becomes even more critical.
So what actually motivates organizations to put these HSC systems in place? I mean, there has to be more to it than just, wanting to look responsible, right?
Yeah, you've basically hit on the key drivers there.
Yeah.
First, there's the ethical responsibility. There's just a fundamental duty to protect your employees. Then there are the legal requirements, regulations. They absolutely have to comply with. No choice.
Right. Laws.
And finally, and this is a big one, there are very real economic benefits to preventing accidents and illnesses. It saves money.
The materials also mention some of the hurdles, though, in actually implementing HSE. It's not always simple, is it? You've got complex workplaces, competing priorities,
Oh,
and let's be honest, human behavior can be unpredictable sometimes.
precisely. Yeah. Successfully putting HSE into practice requires really understanding the specific context of that organization, knowing the relevant standards and being realistic about the challenges. And that's where looking at the potential financial impact, well, it really drives the point home.
Yeah.
Accidents aren't just, unfortunate events. They have significant material costs.
And those costs, they go way beyond just the obvious stuff like medical bills, don't they?
Definitely. Way beyond. We're talking direct costs, sure, like lost work time, equipment damage,
Yeah.
but also really significant indirect costs. Things like decreased morale or the sheer amount of time spent investigating incidents. And, some costs, maybe building damage or compensation payouts, might be covered by insurance. But others, like lost productivity, maybe damage to your reputation, often they aren't insured at all.
Okay, and this all feeds into how a safety department actually budgets, right?
Yeah.
Which the material said should be based on assessing risks and using what's called the hierarchy of controls,
Yeah.
which is basically prioritizing the most effective and cost-efficient safety measures first, starting with just eliminating the hazard if you can.
Precisely. That's the gold standard. And that risk assessment also determined what personal protective equipment, or PPE, is necessary. Now, beyond just procedures, the workshop materials also talked a lot about safety culture. What does that actually mean in practice?
Well, as I understood it, it's about the shared attitudes and beliefs towards safety within a company. Is safety just like a box-ticking exercise, or is it a core value that everyone genuinely buys into?
Right. And a strong safety culture. Well, it translates directly to better HSE performance. Fewer incidents, basically.
Makes sense.
Conversely, things like poor leadership,
Yeah.
or maybe a culture where everyone's just blaming each other,
Yeah, toxic.
they can really erode the safety culture fast.
Mhm.
The ultimate goals of HSE, really, are to protect people and assets, implement effective safety practices, build confidence among workers, and, of course, comply with the law.
And this takes good planning, supportive laws, and actually putting sound scientific principles into action.
Exactly right.
The materials even got down to basics like workplace needs ventilation, sanitation, seating,
Fundamentals.
and also touched on risks like work-related violence. It really highlights how broad HSE actually is. It's clear everyone has a part to play, isn't it? From government setting laws right down to individual employees following the procedures.
Absolutely. Everyone. And, we've come such a long way from the early days of industrialization.
Hmm.
Back then, worker safety was often just completely overlooked. Organizations like the ILO, the International Labor Organization, they've been crucial in setting international standards. They really emphasize social justice as a foundation for workplace safety through conventions like C-155.
And ignoring these laws? Well, it can lead to pretty serious consequences, right? Legally and financially.
Oh, absolutely. Formal rescue orders, being forced to stop work, criminal prosecution for the organization and individuals, fines, even imprisonment, plus legal action, compensation claims. It gets heavy.
And then you have bodies like ISO, the International Organization for Standardization. They provide frameworks like ISO 4501 for occupational health and safety. What's the real benefit of adopting something like that?
Well, ISO 4501 offers a globally recognized system specifically for preventing workplace injuries and illness. It gives a structured approach basically for organizations of any size to manage their safety responsibilities.
Okay.
It focuses on understanding their context, leadership commitment, proper planning, and importantly, continuous improvement. It's all about creating a proactive safety management system, not just reacting.
And finally, the workshop materials wrapped up with some key terms, didn't they? Just to make sure everyone's on the same page with things like hazard versus risk, or understanding that hierarchy of hazard control we mentioned.
Which kind of brings it all together, yeah.
Yeah.
HSE is complex, no doubt, but it's absolutely crucial, a multifaceted discipline.
So a final thought maybe, as you reflect on this, consider how those ethical, legal, and economic drivers all kind of interconnect and push for effective HSE practices. How does taking a really proactive approach to safety actually build a stronger, maybe more resilient, more successful organization? And perhaps what does the safety culture look like in your own environment? Thanks for taking this deep dive with us.